Today's panel will look at documentary commissioning in Asia and also at the state of the industry as a whole. It always strikes me personally that making documentaries is actually a very, you have to be quite passionate about it because it's otherwise, sometimes it can be quite a difficult genre to make a lot of, or to make a living in. And quite often I think that's why you either decide this is my lifestyle and this is what I'll be doing, or you actually have to figure out how to really make the financial model work for you. And I think that's what we'll be looking at today as well, like what have been the changes in the industry, what is like new, what are the opportunities that are coming, or that like 2014 has in store for us. I think there are many changes. Just the other day I was talking to a major producer who used to work for BBC Natural History. He was commissioning editor there. Today he's one of the world's most well-respected reality format producers. So I think we've seen the emergence of new platforms, online platforms, but also, for instance, CCTV 9 from China, a new documentary channel, which we'll be hearing about more in a second. We have like the documentary genre being widening more as well, like over the last years, to include scripted and non-scripted entertainment and factual programming. So I think here today we have a very distinguished panel who really represent that very wide spectrum of documentary making or factual programming, to be more precise. So without further ado, because we do not have so much time, unfortunately, I would like to open up the round to, or have like the panelists make their introductions. Just a quick word about the format of the panel today. I will introduce each panel in a second, like one by one, and then ask each panelist to also give a brief introduction to their channel and also to the kind of programming that they've commissioned over the last year that's really worked for them and what they're looking for in 2014. Maybe one word to the panelists as well, as we don't have so much time. May I remind you, 8 minutes is the time we've allotted for the presentations, and I am mostly German, so I'll be very strict about this one. So after that, we'll open up the panel to, we'll open up to questions. I'll lead with a couple of questions, and then please feel free to ask questions. I've been given this wonderful iPad, but been told I can't keep it. This is where I will see like the questions that you can actually ask online, and the website is that one. So it's www.asiatvforum.com/ask. You can actually put your write down your questions and vote for the questions that you actually think are best. And then I will later on be able to see what questions you have, and we'll definitely take those into consideration as well. And I'm sure afterwards, drinks or not, the panelists will be here also. I'm sure they'll be happy to exchange name cards, and I'm sure that's most probably one of the key reasons you might be here for as well. So without further ado, let me introduce the panelists. As today, it's not so much a matter of ladies first, because there are so many ladies on the panel. I will introduce Mr. Chen first of all. Mr. Chen Xiaoqing is the documentary director and senior editor and director of programming operations department of CCTV Documentary, the new documentary channel which was called into life like just a couple of years ago. Mr. Chen has been producing documentaries since 1990, including renowned productions such as Home in Beijing, Backbone or The Dragon, etc., etc. Many of his documentaries have won prizes, including the Sichuan Golden Panda Award, as well as other prizes. I would like to, first of all, welcome Mr. Chen. 非常欢迎 Chen 现场来参加我们的论坛。Please give a round of applause. Then, next to Mr. Chen, we have Michele Schofield. Michele is the Senior Vice President, Programming and Marketing for A&E Networks Asia. She's based in Singapore. She oversees acquisition, programming, and original content for A&E Networks, including channels such as History, Lifetime, Bio, H2, and Crime and Investigation Network. She represents these channels across the Asian region. Prior to joining A&E, Michele has worked for Turner Entertainment in Hong Kong, and also Paramount Pictures and Discovery Networks in the USA. Michele, it's a pleasure having you here. To her left, or is it to your right, sorry. We have Junko Ogawa. Junko is head of global content marketing at NHK Japan. She oversees the development of NHK international and domestic programs, as well as international co-productions. Junko has been with NHK since 1985. She's worked at NHK as a journalist and documentary maker. She's spent time at overseeing activities and strategy of NHK News Department, as well as international acquisitions for NHK. Junko, a warm welcome to you. And then, last but not least, to my left, is Maggie Rhodes. Maggie is the Director of Global Acquisition and Co-Productions for National Geographic channels worldwide. Maggie is in charge of managing the Global Acquisitions Department, sourcing acquisitions, as well as managing pre-sales, co-productions for global programming. Maggie has been with the National Geographic channel since 2005. She has a degree in French and Spanish, and we hope the Asian language will be added soon. We'll follow soon. So bonjour, Maggie, and great having you. And now I'm sure you've heard enough from me. I would very much like to start with Maggie with a brief introduction.
Okay. I think the presentation is going to come up here. There we go. All right. I'm Maggie Rhodes. I'm the Director of Global Acquisitions and Co-Productions for the National Geographic Channel. I buy across channels worldwide and in 171 territories and across 4 channels, which include the National Geographic Channel, National Geographic HD, Nat Geo Wild, and now, more recently, we're going to be launching a new channel, Nat Geo People, as a rebrand of Nat Geo Adventure, which I'll tell you all a bit more about soon. I'm just going to show a quick little sort of sizzle reel so you can get a sense of the type of content that we've been doing over the past year.
Here we are. Here we go.
That is so weird.
It all happens here.
He's been shot. It's absolute panic.
This is the day we came to get down. We came to claim the game in your town. We came to guarantee the but you will never stop me from taking.
Put one bullet in, spin it, stick it to your head, and pull.
Are you putting 2 and 2 together here?
This is what I came here for.
Explore on, Nat Geo.
So from there you can get a bit of a sense or a feel for what the channel has looked like over the past year. I just wanted to give you sort of a snapshot of what's been working, and these are sort of our ratings drivers that we found in all of 2013, which I can give you a little bit more context on in terms of what we're looking for, because unsurprisingly, what's working we want more of. So I'll just speak to those in a second. So here's sort of the main genres that we're after across the channels worldwide. So character-led returnable series. One of our highest rated series is Wicked Tuna, which is about a team of tuna fishermen off the coast of Gloucester, Massachusetts. And they're sort of larger than life characters, and you want to come back and see them every week. So we're looking for more series in that vein. Access-driven shows. We recently ran a series called Ultimate Airport Dubai, which was about the construction of the new terminal in Dubai Airport. It gives you a unique look and unique access to something you wouldn't otherwise see that you can get through National Geographic. There's great characters, there's great engineering. It's very sort of male-skewed, which is the majority of our audience. So more in sort of the access-driven vein as well. Entertain Your Brain, which is something very much in the wheelhouse of National Geographic. We've had 2 seasons of Brain Games, which is an interactive cognitive science show that takes sort of high concept brain science and brings it to a very digestible level. It's incredibly entertaining, and we're looking for more sort of fun ways to look at science. In survival and adventure, we've had a series called Inside Combat Rescue, which is about the U.S. Air Force sort of paramilitary that goes into war zones to lift out the wounded soldier. So it's tons of drama, tons of action, and again, we're always looking for shows that have that kind of high tension and can keep the viewer hooked. Anthropology and subcultures are something that have always been a heartland to Nat Geo and certainly continue to do so. This year we had a series called Meet the Polygamist about multiple marriage. So again, it's modern day sort of subcultures. And then specials, we still do have a home for specials on the channel. Often they're more sort of Sunday night marketable or promotable specials. For example, we just recently ran Killing Kennedy for the 50th anniversary of the assassination, and those do well. We ran a show about the comet Ison called Comet of the Century, which was big news around the northern hemisphere where you could actually see it. So we are looking for more specials as they relate, to sort of newsworthy events and anniversaries. Highway Through Hell, I just wanted to speak. This is an acquisition that I picked up this past year. It was produced for Discovery Canada and by Great Pacific TV, and I bought it through Beyond Distribution. But it's been the highest rated acquisition of the year, and it's a character-led series. I'm just going to show a quick clip so you can get a feel for it, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that.
This winter on the Highway Through Hell. How can I have up there? In the rugged mountains of the Pacific Northwest, there's a highway like no other. An unforgiving, white-knuckle ride. Carved into some of the steepest terrain in North America. The avalanche is hitting the road right in front of you. When the weather's good, the Coca-Cola Highway is an engineering marvel. But when the weather turns bad,
it's like the Bermuda Triangle of truck accidents.
Keeping the Coke open takes an army of men and machines. And the last line of defense. A fleet of custom-built heavy rescue trucks.
Watch out! I don't think there's a record company anywhere in this world that can do what we do.
Because closure is not an option.
Where's here? We gotta deal with it.
So as you can see, there's a lot of action, a lot of danger, a lot of tension, good characters. So a lot of those same things that we're looking for, is encompassed in that. And it's just a good example of, we don't have to commission all of our series for them to be a hit, and it certainly has resonated with our audience right around the world. And as an acquisition, it's a great funding model for us as well, because we do a real consistent mix of commissioning, co-production, pre-sale, and acquisition. So what else are we buying? With the global acquisitions team, we also acquire for Nat Geo Wild, which is all natural history, and that is a mix of sort of talent-driven and character-driven wildlife shows, such as Fish Tank Kings or The Incredible Dr. Paul. But then on the acquisition side, we also do a good amount of blue-chip wildlife, and that still really works with our audience around the world. And then, as I mentioned earlier, we are launching early in the new year Nat Geo People in a number of territories. Most of these, it was previously Nat Geo Adventure, but we've completely rebranded it. And it's going to be a much more sort of towards female skewed lifestyle channel, which I'll just give you a quick taste of. So we're really excited about the launch of People coming up, and here's the territories that we're launching in early in the new year. The entire channel will be sourced right now from acquisition, so I think there's a lot of opportunity there, you know, particularly out of Asia and a lot of regions that are producing some lifestyle content and food and travel for us to acquire for the channel, and we're really excited about that. I think that's it.
Thanks a lot, Maggie. I especially look forward to seeing Meet the Polygamist.
Yeah,
That sounds like an interesting concept.
Yeah.
Before asking any questions, we'll move on to the next presentation, if you could.
Okay. So, thank you. Thank you for having me here. Today, let me introduce our NHK's co-production and acquisition. And you may know that NHK is the only public broadcaster funded only by receiving fees. We have no advertisement. We reach about 50 million households through our 4 channels. One thing you must know that the NHK, we have a great big in-house production team as well. And maybe about 70% of all our programs are produced in-house. And I'd like to show you a clip. One of our biggest hits this year. Some of you may already know that. It is about giant squid. So please roll the tape.
Passing through 600 meters. Life support okay.
2 hours after the dive began, they reached 630 meters. To stay awake, Dr. Kubadera wipes the hull.
Oh.
Suddenly, out of the darkness, something huge starts to attack the bait.
Can you turn on the light? That's incredible.
Light, please.
My light?
White
Light, white light.
Yes.
White light, please.
A giant squid has finally revealed itself. It's not only massive and surreal, but dazzlingly beautiful. It has the 1 metre long diamondback squid firmly in its grasp. It remains in the spotlight. It's not going to abandon a good meal. It is at least 3 metres long.
What a surprise. It really came. It's shining like gold. Oh wow. Look how that body shines.
That the giant squid should shine like burnished gold is something no one, not even Dr. Kubodera, had expected.
Thank you. And NHK succeeded in capturing the world's first ever video images of the legendary giant squid. And it was a payoff of 10 years worth of research. And this is a co-production between with NHK Enterprises and also Discovery US. And we have another co-production. Discover Science. It's a science entertainment show that shows the laws of nature in gigantic scale, and we are now making the 3rd series. We sell already 17 countries. And also the Cosmic Shore was another big project where we captured the beautiful cosmic phenomena from the International Space Station. And Tokyo Phoenix. Looking ahead to 2014, here is another example of our co-production. It's Tokyo Phoenix. Everyone knows Tokyo as a vibrant metropolis, but not many people know that Tokyo has twice ruined and that it made a remarkable comeback. In this project, we conducted worldwide research to find rare and unseen archives footage to tell the story. We will also collaborate with French production CC&C, the producer of the Apocalypse series, to restore and colorize the black and white films. This will give us a totally new look of the archival images. And let's talk about the slot for acquisition. The first slot, World Documentary, is the 1-hour slot aired 4 times a week on NHK's BS1 channel. We acquire about 90 titles a year, and they also co-produce some projects. The slot features mostly current affairs that cover global issues and continue to attract world attention. It aims to show societies, economics, political problems, and environmental problems. I give you some example. First one is the Untold History of the United States. This program was produced with a very unique point of view from Mr. Oliver Stone on the modern history, including nuclear issues. And the second one is Bahrain, the Forbidden Country. This was a report of the Arabic Spring in Bahrain, which is very known to the Japanese people. A French journalist risked his life for this report. And the third one is Buri. The strength of this program is the long-term continuous coverage, which enables to show details of individual children's everyday life. Those are very big hit in our channel. And let's move to another slot. It's Dramatic Planet, which is weekly 44-minute slot on NHK's educational TV channel. We buy about 40 programs for this slot a year. This slot targets family viewing, children, and young adults. So we are looking for entertaining documentaries, like good storytelling with their constructed visual images and a taste of adventure. Animals, dinosaurs, and space work very well. Let's have some example. First one is Leon of the Hoopoe. It's a weird name. This was a story about a rare bird coming back to a village in Australia. It shows the harmony between the dedicated bird and the village people through attractive storytelling. The second one is Incredible Flying Car. This was about the cutting-edge development of flying cars as a way to escape from the traffic jams. These visuals are very impactful, and it's a very dreamful story. And third one is Meteor Menace. Following the recent meteor strike in Russia, the program covers the forefront of meteor research in an adventurous style. Those are the really popular in our channel. And I want to explain one more thing about our co-production. It's called the Asian Pitch. NHK has a partnership with KBS in Korea and MediaCorp in Singapore and PTS in Taiwan. And it helps independent filmmakers in Asia to tell their original stories about the Asia. It's aimed at uncovering human interest stories in Asia, and we really would like to find out discovering new talent in Asia. So please take a look at the TAP tab site on internet. So like that, NHK, we are always open to the filmmakers, working with filmmakers abroad. So please feel free to get in contact with us with your great stories and projects. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Junko. Thank you also for sharing those very beautiful pictures of the giant squid. Was that actually a co-production or with
Discovery US?
With Discovery. Okay, over to you, Michele.
Thank you. I'm Michele Schofield. I'm from A&E Networks Asia, so we're a wholly owned company. The US company is A&E Networks in the US. We have these 5 channels, all in HD, here in Asia, across the Southeast Asia region. So my plan is to just take you through the 5 channels and give you some idea of what we look for on each channel. So our content really falls into 3 buckets. Depending on the channel, we have 60 to 90% of our content coming from our A&E Networks pipeline in the US. That 90% would fall more on history. I have to say that the content coming from history in the US is doing so well all around the world that we've really changed our model, and we just don't need to acquire as much for history anymore. Whereas some of the other channels I'll go through as I do my presentation, you'll see that we acquire some more content for those channels. So we go to the markets, we do look internationally from third parties. We also locally produce for almost all of our channels here to bring Asian stories to the channels. So history, it's really been our flagship brand since we launched here in 2007. As I just mentioned, the acquisitions are very, very selective now because we have such great content coming from the history pipeline in the US. A big drama this year that did very well, that was commissioned for history, and we also acquired it, was The Vikings. And Bonnie and Clyde is another 2 times 2 hour special that we're going to simulcast on History and Lifetime next week. So that's really where we've put our acquisition money and focus this year, is in these dramas, bringing history to life with scripted content for the first time. In terms of commissions, we'll do some short-running series, which would only be 4 times 1 hour. We did one of those this year called Special Forces, looking at different Army and Marine Special Forces around Asia. And longer-running series is Hidden Cities Extreme, which has been our most successful series. We're going to launch series 2 of that next year. And that's a hosted show where the host takes us to different cities or different countries around Asia and really just shows us the extremes that you can find in that country, whether it doesn't necessarily need to fit under a history banner. Our focus to that production company was, as long as it's Asia, think cultural and just think, oh my God, kind of extreme stuff that we put our host in the situation. I guess the point I'd like to make the most about history is it's not what you learned at school. It's bringing history to life in a much more entertaining way. It's modern day. It's got to be widely acceptable, especially for Asia. We've still got households that are 1 TV households. So we've still got to have shows where the kids will watch with the parents. Our most successful show is Porn Stars. And when we brought the porn stars from Las Vegas out to Asia for a tour, we had kids, like 6-year-old kids, screaming for them in the Philippines, which is really testament to that family viewing that we can get in the way that we can bring history to life for a mass audience. H2 is a channel we just launched this year in June. It's kind of like what it is. It's H2. It's the second history channel. It's the best and easiest way to describe is it's what history used to be about 6 to 7 years ago when it was very documentary. We have so much catalogue from history, we don't need to buy anything. So that's why I'm kind of skipping over it quite quickly. History is led by entertainment and H2 is led by information. So it's a much more documentary channel. Lifetime, again, a brand new channel that we just launched in June this year. It's taken our portfolio into the general entertainment space. So we're not just a factual player anymore, which we all love. It takes us into dramas and movies as well as the real life entertainment. And Lifetime is all about passionate characters. It does have a slight female skew, even though I've put there gender neutral because we want it to be gender neutral. But a lot of the shows do naturally skew towards women. But our internal mantra is that a man should not walk out of the room. It shouldn't be so female skewing that a guy would say, oh my God, I want to change the channel. Commissions, we're just starting to commission content now that the channel's just reaching almost 6 months old. And we're looking in the reality space. We're not in the dramas or the movies yet. So we're looking for real life people, probably that would have a female involved in the show. And as Maggie had said, we're on the same boat. We want repeatable series. So we don't want ideas that are topic-led. We want ideas that are people-led so that if that show works, we can come back and ask the producer to make a second season. So we're really looking for people that probably do a job and they're really authentically doing that job every day and the show becomes about what they're doing every day. So some of the program examples of what we have on Lifetime, to give you an idea, is a crime procedural drama called Unforgettable. MasterChef Australia is a huge volume acquisition that's doing very, very well for us. Food is a hugely popular genre here in Asia. Wife Swap, another reality show where wives swap for a week. Dance Mums, big show out of the US, Lifetime doing well for us, and One Born Every Minute. We found in Asia that kind of heartwarming real life series is resonating with audiences here. Bio is real life factual entertainment as well. Bio is not about biographies anymore. We've really come away from that years ago, and it's more about characters. So again, it's real life characters. What do they do in every day that makes them interesting? And we even have an internal tough job to say, does it sit on Bio or does it sit on Lifetime? And so far we've been putting the bigger shows or the slightly female skews on Lifetime and keeping any other shows we can get to put on Bio. We're looking for content that doesn't have to be pure crime. It could be like car crash investigations or paranormal investigations or air crash investigations. We have commissioned a number of series for Crime and Investigation Network, and we're always looking for more. Asia's Underworld, meeting real criminals without glorifying them, of course. Partners in Crime, meeting forensic scientists and the people that help solve the crimes. Asian swindlers, the white-collar criminals. And Crime Investigation Asia was really our strand. When we got individual producers to make one-off crime stories, we bannered them under Crime Investigation Asia. And that's it. See, I've tried to keep it really quick. So I have a reel that'll just give you a flavour for some of our original productions. You'll see some Hidden Cities Extreme in there with our host Simon Yin. You'll see Special Forces, some of our army show, and just kind of a broad overview of our channels and our content.
Tick, 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 tick. Whoa. Oh my God! Yeah! Yep!
Don't mess with Bonnie and Clyde. I want all the juicy details. What do you think?
Seems like a whole lot of fun. Ooh.
I'm Simon Yin, actor, filmmaker, and a sucker for punishment. My mission, to uncover and face down Asia's most extreme experiences.
In this episode of Marina Bay Sands 24/7, Chef Christie mans the biggest kitchens in the country. GP gears up to burn some rubber, and Damien gets ready to play ball with a superstar.
This is Thailand's Marine Recon Training Course. It's designed to separate the boys from the men and turn what's left into elite soldiers. A brutal selection course that 1/3 will fail.
When we think of Malaysia, a few things pop to mind. The Petronas Twin Towers, tropical jungles, and food, lots of food. But did you know that there is actually a building in Malaysia built for snow?
Built for snow?
No, I didn't know that. And that there's a place in Malaysia with the highest concentration of cockroaches on the planet.
Cockroaches?
Those are just some of the 10 things you don't know about Malaysia. I feel that the things people don't know often have a big and surprising impact.
Merciless, ruthless, a gun for hire.
Nakatali na yung tao, sa akin pinabaril. Hindi naman kasi pwede buhayin yun eh. Sausaw lang ako dun.
From the criminal underbelly of Manila, they wreak their mayhem, challenged only by those who are willing to stare death in the face. But these are no ordinary gunmen. These are professional assassins.
很高兴在这里，向诸位介绍中央电视台纪录频道。I'm very sorry. I'm apologize for my very limited English. So I will speak in Chinese.
Your English is very good. 非常好，没问题。
央视纪录频道运营着以中文播出的 CCTV 9纪录频道和英文播出的 CCTV 9 Documentary 纪录国际频道，以及 CCTV 1的综合频道的魅力纪录栏目，还有是在中国70家省市电视台地面频道联合播出的记录中国栏目，这2个频道加上2个精品栏目，构成了纪录频道的播出格局。
I'm delighted to have this opportunity to introduce CCTV documentary channel, also known as CCTV9. We have a domestic version broadcasting documentaries in Chinese and an overseas version in English. We also run a segment on CCTV1 called Fascinating Documentary, and another strand, Doc China, which is being carried by 70 domestic TV stations. We are now China's largest platform for the broadcast, production, co-production, and marketing of documentaries.
今年7月，纪录频道组织成立了中国最大的纪录片播出制作联盟，我们称之为 CDU。CDU 凝聚了中国100多家电视台、150家制作机构和上千位纪录片制作人，整个中国纪录片行业正在因为 CDU 的建立而变得活力十足。我们需要更多的合作伙伴一起来讲述中国故事，我们也需要来自全球的好故事、好创意、好节目，以满足中国市场不断增长的纪录片需求。
In the future, we want to work with more international partners to produce documentaries on Chinese stories. We will also be bringing more international productions to the Chinese audience.
纪录频道每年的首播时段总量达到3900个小时。在首播时段中，新片的播出比例是45%，而在这些新片中，由纪录频道设置的原创纪录片和委托制作的纪录片超过1/3，购买的中国纪录片节目将近1/3，还有另外的1/3就是来自各位制作的海外引进的国际纪录片。先向大家介绍一下我们的原创纪录片。纪录频道的原创纪录片产量正在呈现不断递增的趋势，每年大概是上升是40多个小时。
Now about our in-house productions. They have been on the increase from 40 hours in 2011 to 80 hours in 2012. The total length this year is 110 hours.
2013年末到2014年，我们即将推出的纪录片有《牡丹》、《舌尖上的中国》第2季、《园林》和《全世界做生意》、慈路等项目。
Some of our in-house productions that are currently in progress include The Peony, A Bite of China 2, Gardens, Doing Business with the World, and Porcelain Story.
这里面不仅有反映中国历史文化的节目，也有反映中国社会变革以及中国和世界交流的故事。未来我们期待在这些原创节目中，希望能够邀请更多的国际专业团队参与，比如特种摄影、音乐制作、特效制作等等。
These not only represent Chinese history and culture, but also ongoing social changes as well as how the country interacts with the rest of the world. We would like to see more involvement from producers around the world in such productions, particularly in regard to special photography, special effects, and music.
接下来我想介绍一下委托制作的情况。这是央视纪录频道一直以来的重要节目源之一。我们委托制作的模式和国际通行的模式一样，由央视纪录频道全额投资，对双方共同确定的选题由合作机构进行承制。
Now a few words about the commissioned productions. It's one of the most important sources for us to bring excellent documentaries to the audience. In such productions, we are the sole investor. The topics are decided through discussions, and our partner are in charge of the filming.
从数据上看，纪录频道委托制作的节目量现在已经到了380小时每年，增长是240%。那么，我们首播的新节目大概是1400小时。这些节目中，我们有300小时的节目来自于购买，400个小时的节目来自于委托制作。这意味着，仅仅在 CCTV 9开播，还有每年700个小时的节目空间将面向市场。
The amount of the commissioned productions increased from 100 hours in 2011 to 380 hours in 2012. Among 1,400 hours of our new program in 2012, over 300 are purchased and over 400 are commissioned productions. It means we still have 700 hours of programming that is open to all.
在国际联合制作项目方面，纪录频道也和很多国际机构展开了密切的合作，并且取得了很好的成果。比如说和 BBC 合拍的《非洲》，在全球的热播就是很好的案例。2013年中，我们又陆续启动了13部，总时长达到33小时的联合摄制项目，像《隐秘王国》、《番茄的胜利》、中国艺术、野性的终结、熊猫、极速猎杀等等。
Concerning international co-productions, we have established partnership with many broadcasters and companies. The well-received Africa, co-produced between BBC and CCTV9, is the best example. In 2013, we launched 13 international joint projects totaling 33 hours, such as Hidden Kingdom, Triumph of the Tomato, Art of China, The End of the Wild, Pandas, and Speed Kills.
我们每年向全球采购超过500个小时的高品质纪录片，在这些纪录片在中国播出后，不仅为我们带来了很好的收视，也为国际机构在中国市场带来了更大的品牌和知名度。
Every year, we purchase over 500 hours of shows from around the world. Many of them have not only attracted large domestic audiences, but also raised the profile of documentary producers and their studios on the Chinese market.
2014年，纪录频道将在委托制作领域、国际委托制作领域和各位的合作打开更大的空间。首先在题材上，我们过去主要是以自然类、科技类的纪录片项目为主，未来我们在现实类、历史类、人文类的题材上也将进行探索。
In 2014, we'll work closer with our partners in international joint projects. Up to now, most of our commissioned projects dealt with nature and science, but in the future, we'll purchase and commission more documentaries on factual, history, as well as culture and civilization topics.
其次，在合作方式上，除了全额投资或版权购买之外，我们也将接纳更多的合作方式，比如说参与部分投资、版权分享等等。
Also, we'll work with international documentary producers through more diverse ways, such as joint investment and copyright sharing.
最后，我们还将在2014年继续举办中国纪录片国际提案大会。如果各位有好的选题、好的故事、好的团队，那么真诚的欢迎来参加我们的提案大会。期待和诸位成为合作伙伴。谢谢。
Well, finally, we'll hold China Pitch 2014, and you're all most welcome to attend. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chen. I'll start with Mr. Chen with the first question straight away. Mr. Chen, your channel is quite young. It's only, I believe it's only 3 years old so far. But you've had quite a few very successful co-productions with international partners. So can you share with us what is your preferred cooperation model with these different partners around the world? Is it straightforward investment? Do you do commissioning? If you could just give us a brief introduction there. And also, I'll weave in the questions from the audience straight away as well. We have one question from the audience, which I'll blend in here. We can see that CCTV has established strong working partnerships with the big broadcasters and networks. What about working with production companies in Southeast Asia? Do we stand a chance?
我们和东南亚的专业制作团队一直的合作就很好。比如说，我的一个节目叫《舌尖上的中国》，就是用的水下摄影的团队就是马来西亚的摄影团队。
Hello, we've been working with Southeast Asian producers and team. For example, one of the programs is called Bite of China, and we actually utilized a Malaysian photography team.
今年我们还投资了一部是关于中国气候的纪录片，由我们整体投资1000万人民币，由台湾的一家制作公司中标，他们来完成制作。
Hello. This year, we are working on a project on Chinese environment issue, and we are the sole investor. We invested about 1.6 million US dollars, and we are cooperating with the photography team, production team from Taiwan.
And so what is your preferred co-production model for the next year?
可能3种方式都有，一种就像非洲这样，我们投资，我们只是享受它的版权的，分享它的版权，这是一种。另外一种呢，就是合作，比如说我们现在正在做的 Life Force 是我们和新西兰的一家制作公司以及 NHK 我们3家来合作，我们承担其中1集的制作，并且呢负责1/3的投资，这是第2种。第3种呢，就是我们委托制作，比如说我们的一个英国的纪录片导演叫 Phil， 他曾经做过很多中国题材的纪录片，那么这次我们让他做一个中国环境的纪录片，那么也是由纪录频道全额投资的，所以3种方式可能都有。
I'll do my best. We prefer 3 ways. The first one is we are the sole investor and we hire a team to produce. And I think he mentioned a team from New Zealand that they're working with. The second, and they'll share the copyright. So the second one is really to send a team and so co-produce. For example, the CCTV9 will be the sole investor and a company will be in charge of the production. The second one, for example, CCTV9 was working with NHK and the BBC on Africa. So 3 companies are all in charge of producing.
我觉得可能对在座的各位CCTV9 可能最富有吸引力的是2个方面，一个方面是它现在拥有政府支持的很大的资金的投入量，另外一个呢就是为很多中国题材，为很多外国摄影队在中国拍摄的各种各样的程序，实现一种特别简单的合作的方式，就是可能你想拍一个中国题材，可能在政府批件方面啊可能会遇到一些麻烦。那么如果和 CCTV9 合作，那么这种途径就会特别的通畅。
Hello. I think 2 things will be appealing to all of you. The first one is CCTV9 has a strong funding from the government, and the second one is if you have a topic about China or a story and you want to come to China and shoot about the story, CCTV9 will be very strong in terms of knowing the restrictions, knowing the procedure, and help everyone to get the paperwork done and start shooting as early as possible.
Junko, moving on to you, could you talk a little bit more? You gave us like an introduction to the to your Tokyo Phoenix project. What is new about that program for 2014, and what kind of a partner are you looking for?
Yeah. You may know that the Tokyo Olympics game will be coming up in 2020, and we expect that there will be a demand for the viewers in foreign countries to know more about Tokyo, what kind of city, what kind of history does it have. So that's why we are making this program. And as a co-production, actually, in the research, we have a lot of archives footages from foreigners, maybe long time ago, 19th century? No, 19th century. And some are from French, some are from Germany. And so maybe foreign producers or directors, they may relate it to this program, to their each countries. And so maybe this right now we are making this story from the point of Japanese, but maybe the other foreign countries, they may want to watch this program as from different point of view. So we expected that maybe they can edit in front of in the point of view, their point of view. So that's why we would like to make this co-production. And of course, acquisition will be fine, but if in the how do you say in the 2020, if there will be a demand from the viewers to watch more about know more about the Tokyo, maybe we can find any co-production partners. That's why. Yeah.
And do you have any co-production partners on board for this already, or are you welcoming anyone to come and chat to you about that?
Anyone is welcome, but we already have some European TV or distributors right now. We are not discussing.
Okay, so I think that one's a very concrete project that we have here from the panel, so anyone who's interested, please come talk to Junko afterwards. Maggie, I would like to talk to you a little bit about the Highway to Hell project. It was a straightforward acquisition, if I understand correctly, brought through beyond distribution. Is this true? And is that normally the way, or how much acquisition you do versus how much commissioning?
Yeah, we do a good percentage of acquisition and work with sort of all the major distributors across the world. So Beyond, I think, is headquartered mostly in Australia, but we do regularly acquire finished content. And as I mentioned before, I mean there is also constantly opportunity for sort of pre-sales. So even if we're not putting editorial input into it, we'll commit at an early stage if we're interested in the project, or even co-production, very similar to many of the deals that they've mentioned here as well. We have similar structures with that. And again, it all comes down to the sort of rights that we'll take in terms of the amount of fee that we'll pay for it and how early we commit. But in terms of Highway Through Hell, we were really fortunate that we were able to get it as an acquisition, and then it's done so well for us on air. So we certainly look for and welcome more opportunity for that as well.
But do you find it quite difficult to actually make, if it's a straightforward acquisition deal, to really make it fit a certain slot that you have, or does that quite often work quite well?
It really depends, sort of. As I mentioned, we're in so many different territories. It's hard to please everyone all the time, but we do consider it a success when it does well and rates well for us in a lot of our key markets. And there are some shows that just do well universally, and that's really exciting for us when they do hit. So even with acquisition, when we're not having much of an editorial say, I think there's still a high chance for success.
What strikes me as well, especially with yourself and also with Michele, do you do one-off acquisitions, like do you buy one-off programs, or do you usually do you buy only series?
It's definitely a mix of the two. Our schedule has really shifted to majority series and minority specials or one-offs, but in terms of acquisition, there's certainly still a slot for those specials. And as I had mentioned, things like the Comet of the Century show, which we actually did as a co-production with PBS in the US, and then we took it internationally, that where it's newsworthy or where it's topical or where it's an anniversary, or there's absolutely opportunity for one-offs that can be really relevant and do really well and resonate with the audience.
And so what's the best way of getting in touch with you and actually building a relationship with National Geographic channels?
I would say contact me directly.
Perfect.
Yeah. And yeah, come say hello. I mean, it's really that straightforward.
Okay, perfect. Then Michele, one more question to you, and then I think we'll also look at more of the panel, the audience questions. With Extreme, with
Hidden Cities Extreme, yeah.
Is that program you were mentioning before, that actually it was quite a different brief before you actually made this program in the end? Can you explain a bit more how much or how hands-on you are when you commission programming, or does a production company come to you and actually say like, this is what we would like to, or this is what we're pitching?
A bit of both. We've had production companies just straight out pitch to us, and we love that. And we've also had to come up with the ideas ourselves because we just feel like there aren't enough ideas coming to us from the producers. Hidden Cities was an original series that we developed with the production company. We wanted a hosted show. We knew having a hosted show would help ad sales with product placement and all of that nice stuff. So we came up with Hidden Cities. After 2 seasons, we really sat down with the production company, and we had a bit of internal struggle. We didn't really, as the programming department, we didn't want to greenlight another series. We felt like we'd done it. We'd seen all the hidden cities possible in Asia, and it was like an old school hosted series. Your host takes you to see World War II bunkers, to see hotels that were previously used in World War II during the Japanese occupation, and it was very hosted documentary. Ad sales still wanted the opportunity to have a hosted show on air, so we sat down with the production company and said, we need a new host, we need a brand new idea, but we want to continue the Hidden Cities franchise. So we reinvented that internally and said, we'll strip it down to half an hour, we'll have a much more vibrant host that's not so hosty, and a bit more MTV, in your face. He gets down and dirty, and it's the kind of guy that's going to pop and a lot more memorable. And that's when we said to the production company, World War II is banned. You can't give us anything to do with World War II, and it's got to be a lot more fun. So that was really an internal rejig and redevelopment.
And would you say most of your programs are developed in that way? And how much of what you produce is actually commissioned versus...
Yeah, some of the one-offs come to us as ready-made ideas from the producers. They'll find the access, or they'll have the opportunity and pitch us a one-off. That really depends on how much do we want the idea, how much is it going to cost us, how long is it going to take to make, a lot of variables. Is there co-funding already in place, perhaps with government funding or other broadcasters? We're a lot more keen on series. We want to wholly own those series. We put more investment into the series, obviously, because there's more at stake, and it's really building a franchise on air more than a single 1 hour. We commission, the most amount of content we do is for history, and the second and third would be for Lifetime and Crime and Investigation Network.
It also strikes me that, like, especially with your network, that you have quite a range of different programming that you're actually looking for.
Yes.
Commissioning, acquiring, etc.
Yes.
How do you manage that? And do you have a team which covers all channels? Or
yes, all of our staff work across all channels, except for the schedulers that focus on individual channels. So we have a small production team. We don't produce anything much in-house. We do work with production companies. We have a head of production and a 2-person team that works with that head of production to oversee the content and try and develop more ideas. We just hired a development person this year to try and develop more ideas ourselves, because we were too reliant on producers pitching us, and we would have months where we had nothing, and we were desperate to greenlight something, but we didn't have enough ideas that we loved. So we're trying to develop more ourselves and go to producers with those ideas and then co-develop with them.
Which brings us to another question from the audience, which has, because you can actually vote for these questions, and this is one of the top voted for ones. Can National Geographic Channel, A&E, CCTV share how internally the proposals are being reviewed? What are the different stages that each proposal has to go through before they are being selected? I think a lot of production companies feel that sometimes maybe a proposal gets stuck somewhere midway. Maybe Maggie, if you can share on that, like what the process is.
Sure. So when proposals get sent in, and these days that's usually over email or in person pitch meetings, we do go through them, and then we have weekly meetings where we discuss them as a commissioning team. And if we like them, we'll sort of take them up the chain, and we do try to get back with feedback if we are going to pass on the ideas as promptly as we can. But as you can imagine, a lot of them come in as we're commissioning and buying across so many channels, across so many territories. But yeah, if we do like them, we discuss them internally, and then we take them to a green light meeting and decide whether or not they're going to move forward. But sort of depending on people's travel schedules and when those meetings are actually scheduled, they're not always consistently every week or every 2 weeks, but they do happen with good frequency.
Mr. Chen, how does that work at CCTV? I think many people are very excited that there is such a new channel on the documentary landscape, and what's the process of getting the proposal accepted?
对纪录频道来说，首先他考虑的是不是讲了中国故事，可能如果在一个大题目里边有中国的戏份儿，可能会是一个首选。
CCTV9 considers, from a point of view, that if it's a story about China, or if it's a big topic under which that China is a part of it.
其次，我们的接收选题的方式是很多的。首先我们有一个专门负责国际合作的一个专门的单位，叫合拍叫国际项目组，他们专门负责接受提案。另外呢，每年我们都会做叫 China Page 的这么一个活动，我们也在网上也有网址。那么明天我们在展会上可以通过我们的展台和大家做更多的交流。
Junko, this is, I think, a question maybe you can share a lot of information on with the audience. Is Asia a large consumer of documentaries, or are they better received by Western countries? But please, I think everyone else feel free to pitch in on that one as well.
I don't know about the Western countries, but I think because in Asia there are so many different lifestyles and political situations and environmental problems. There's so many things. So I think Asia itself has a lot of potential of making documentaries, and also can be a good, huge consumer of the documentaries. And I'm very surprised that both channels has a slot for human documentaries, maybe a little bit different tastes or something like that. But I think especially human documentaries in Asia would be very, strong and fascinating contents. It will be in the future. Yeah.
I think our time is up, or is very much up. I thank you all for your great patience, and also to the panelists for a very interesting, exciting talk. Thank you very much to everyone.